Hello everyone and welcome back to Crypto Channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We're gonna talk about XRP. And I gotta start with this from Smoke. Ripple's product vision. XRP integrated with Visa. Visa crypto card spending jumps 525% in 2025. Net spending across Visa's major crypto cards surged 525% from $14.6 million to $91.3 million in 2025. But Ripple, they want to be integrated everywhere. I think RLUSD is going to make a lot of this happen early on. Later, they will also be utilizing XRP. But the one thing I want to point out is this right here. Everybody always talks about scarcity for XRP. And wait until XRP is locked away in a massive liquidity pool, in between banks, in between countries, in between companies. You're going to see that in the very near future. It's included in all of the BIS white papers. Liquidity pools are going to be massive in the future because of XRP's on-demand liquidity. Look at the banks right now. They're still facing that liquidity crisis. XRP solves that crisis. But it goes beyond that. These companies, they want to have fast cross-border payments. They want to cut out all the middlemen. They want to have cheap fees on those payments as well. Maybe it starts with RLUSD, but eventually it will end with massive liquidity pools of XRP. And when that happens, you think $100 per XRP is something, or 589 is something? We're going to be looking at XRP in the thousands. Ripple has drawn attention after making a massive XRP transfer worth over $652 million, stirring concerns about whether it is selling amid the rapid price surge. Right now, this is all speculation still. We don't know where that 300 million XRP is going. Maybe Ripple is about to make another acquisition. The one thing we all do know about Ripple and the escrow and the XRP Ripple's holding is that they're always continuing to build utility for XRP. They're utilizing that XRP to build out even more utility for XRP. But right now, people thinking that they're selling, it's all speculation still. Ripple has officially filed an application with the OCC to become a national trust bank in the United States. This is real. This is institutional. This is how XRP infrastructure is built. So you see the application right here. And once Ripple becomes a bank, it puts everything into perspective. Everything that XRP holders were always waiting for. Us to become our own bank. We would be bank branches of National Trust Bank of Ripple. And what it is you loaning out your XRP, getting passive income from it, or borrowing against your XRP and paying it back with passive income that you're getting from other cryptocurrencies. There's so many options already in motion because we know this is going to happen. Most likely, Ripple is going to get that Fed charter as well. Fed Chair Powell said on CNBC that every bank can now offer XRP, Bitcoin, and crypto services. Now, remember when the Fed said that, when Powell said that? Well, now Bank of America expands crypto access for wealthy clients, allowing up to 4% allocation in regulated products like Bitcoin ETFs. This marks growing institutional adoption and mainstream recognition of digital assets. The one thing I don't like about this is they're trying to once again give Bitcoin first mover advantage. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of that happening. Even with the ETFs, first there was the Bitcoin ETFs, and then there was the ETH ETFs. But look at how XRP ETFs are outperforming those ETFs. Even as the money outflows from the Bitcoin ETFs, we're still seeing record inflows on XRP ETFs at the same time. And look at the allocations that they're showing. So Morgan Stanley offering to allocate 2 to 4%, BlackRock 1 to 2%. Fidelity, 2 to 5% in crypto. And honestly, even these banks, once they realize that their customers are starting to look past Bitcoin, they're going to be pushing people into XRP. That time is coming. Raw Paul says crypto market structure will pass and massive banks will start promoting Bitcoin. Like I said, they always try to push that Bitcoin narrative. Raw Paul does it all the time. And if it's not Bitcoin, he's always pushing ETH or Solana. He never likes to talk about XRP. Even when he mentions XRP, you could see the disgust in his face when he's talking about it, because they're all paid actors to push Bitcoin. U.S. government may seize Venezuela's Bitcoin and crypto reserves. Honestly, I don't even think this should happen because, in my opinion, like you see as the first response, you mean steal. That's the way I look at it. They would be stealing their crypto. And everybody wants this to happen. Like, do you honestly think it's a good idea for the U.S. government to be holding crypto? Because I don't think it's a good idea unless they're going to utilize that cryptocurrency to strengthen the U.S. dollar. It makes no sense to me. They want to hold all this Bitcoin for 20 years to hopefully pay off half the debt. By the time 20 years is up, at the rate that we're racking up debt, the U.S. dollar will be completely worthless anyway. And plus, they're going to tokenize the debt along the way. And a new digital dollar is coming. So then you also got to factor in the possibility of quantum computers wiping out Bitcoin along the way as well. But I don't think this is a good idea at all. Plus, think about it like this. Sure, this administration is pro-crypto. They start holding all this Bitcoin. The next administration comes in, they hate crypto, and all of a sudden, they dump all this Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin is not going to be part of the new financial system. Stephen McClurg, CEO of Canary Capital, utility tokens will outperform Bitcoin. Take a listen.
Would you change your position right now for 2026? Would you be bearish or bullish right now?
Well, it depends on the asset. If we're talking about Bitcoin, we'll start there. I am bearish on Bitcoin for this year. I do believe that October 6th was the absolute peak of this particular cycle for Bitcoin. And we're now in the bear leg of the cycle. And, we discussed this before, several reasons why Bitcoin has kind of, been pretty flat this year.
Yeah.
But my expectation is, Bitcoin dropped 30% from October 6th, and I expect another 20 to 30% down from here over the next 6 to 9 months until we hit another trough, and then we're back into the next cycle and back into a bull market. I don't expect to see a new all-time high in Bitcoin in 2026.
All right.
Now, most cryptocurrencies are going to follow Bitcoin, right? But I do believe there's a divergence happening, and the theme of 2026 is going to be building, and it's going to be primarily tokenization of real-world assets, including stable coins. And any protocol that is heavily involved in this, and that does include XRP Ledger, or anything that's building real-world applications for this technology, which also include Hedera, I believe that those two assets are going to diverge from Bitcoin in this cycle. Now, does that mean that they're going to go up triple, quadruple in 2026? Probably not. I'm expecting low double-digit growth in price in 2026 for the handful of crypto assets that fall outside of Bitcoin and all of its followers. But I do expect to see, probably positive returns, if not flat, while Bitcoin's down 30%.
Take notice, he's not calling for a major pullback like everybody else is calling for right now. He also said in 2026, utility tokens like XRP and HBAR, they could start to break away from Bitcoin. This could be the year that the decoupling happens. He also thinks this run is over for Bitcoin as well. Once utility takes over, I don't even think we're going to see these major run-ups on Bitcoin anymore. Maybe you see a 10 or 20% move upward, but you're not going to see these parabolic runs like we've seen in the past. Everything is going to be centered around what has real world use case, what solves real world problems, what is getting tied in with the current financial system, what's going to lead us into the new financial system. He just summed up everything that I've been telling you has been happening over the last couple of months. It's actually started once we got the pro-crypto administration in Washington. That's when everything started to shift. And now it's happening right in front of you. Altcoin season index signals Sol and XRP ready to outpace Bitcoin. Altcoin season index nears 40% as altcoin market cap reclaims $1.3 trillion, with Solana and XRP showing technical strength while whales short Bitcoin and go long on blue chip altcoins. Like I said, you've been watching XRP outperform Bitcoin this entire cycle. And it's going to continue to happen. Even when Bitcoin goes up, XRP goes way up at the same time. That's why the best return on investment right now is still in XRP. And you're not too late to XRP. Everybody always says, you're too late. I'm too late to XRP. I missed my entry point or whatever. You're not too late until you cannot afford one whole XRP. That's the way I look at it. And that time is absolutely coming. But you still have a chance to build a decent bag before we start heading into price discovery and new all-time high after new all-time high, because that's what's coming. And then there's Evernorth's strategy is designed not only to accumulate XRP as a reserve asset, but also to act as a long-term catalyst for the adoption and institutionalization of the XRP ledger. They're not just buying XRP and locking it away for no reason. They plan to build out around XRP. We're going to see other institutions do this along the way. We're going to see more treasury companies and so on. This is just the beginning. That's why I tell you, you're not too late yet. But that window is closing. I think once we see the massive wave of institutional adoption that's coming in 2026, I think that's it. The price is going to go into double digits and it's going to hold in double digits. People are going to be saying, well, don't worry, you're still going to get your chance when XRP dips all the way back down under $1. That's not going to happen. I think once we watch XRP achieve double digits, it's going to hold in double digits. So anybody new getting into crypto, they're going to be buying XRP at $10 plus per XRP. And that time is very close now. I always tell people when they're talking about getting into crypto for the first time, I tell them, you got to pull the trigger now. You got to lock in now. If you wait any longer, you're going to be priced out of XRP. The other cryptocurrency I always push them towards is Flare. I still think Flare is going to be a massive monster, and XDC as well. HBAR, but now HBAR is starting to get going as well. And HBAR is also going to be very huge. Same thing with XLM. People keep counting XLM out. And I always tell people if they're interested in Bitcoin or they already invest into Bitcoin, I always tell them, why don't you just sell some of that Bitcoin and go all in on QNT? because QNT, in my opinion, it's going to be worth way more than Bitcoin in the future. That QNT is built to be a 6-digit asset, in my opinion. There's less of it than there is Bitcoin. And we're still waiting on a lot to build out there as well. But, everybody gets discouraged about these cryptocurrencies because they're utility driven. So a lot of infrastructure has to be put in place before we see the true price appreciation. And I think it all starts this year. But until it happens, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.